Spider-Man Brand New Day
Yeah.
finally has a synopsis out, not a trailer. That would be too good. Not a trailer, not the thing I love, but practice in a synopsis. That's what we got. Not a trailer, a synopsis.
Right.
And so we finally know a little bit more about what we're getting into when it comes to our friendly neighborhood, Spider-Man. This comes to us from Screen Rant. They say Marvel Studios is proud to present the latest volume in its acclaimed Art of Movie series as Spider-Man swings back onto the silver screen. 4 years have gone by. You know what? Let me put this on the screen for us. Let's take a look at this together in the Evan B classroom, okay? We going in. You ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Remember that song?
Ready. Space.
All right, let me zoom in. Get out. All right. 4 years have gone by since we last caught up with our friendly neighborhood hero. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man is at the top of his game, keeping New York City safe. Things are going well for our anonymous hero until an unusual trail of crimes pulls him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. In order to take on what's ahead, Spider-Man not only needs to be at the top of his physical mental game, but he must also be prepared to face the repercussions of his past. It also says a little bit that as Spider-Man Brand New Day wows moviegoers the world over, discover the behind-the-scenes magic of the film's visual development from early concept sketches and blah, blah, blah. So I want to ask you a little bit of the synopsis, okay? Let's break it down a little bit. And let's start with this. Let's start with this, okay? 4 years later, right? So that means it's 4 years after Spider-Man No Way Home, which means 4 years is typically 4 years of undergrad college.
Right.
Does this mean because we are 4 years later that we are now skipping the college years for Tom Holland's Spider-Man? Is that what this is insinuating? What do you think, Kenny?
I wouldn't mind it. I think that is it might be the right direction because college is not high school, but college is still school. So I would like to see Peter Parker in his adult age past that.
Okay. I mean, 22 is, you're like still a kid,
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting. I was just watching the animated series, which is pretty much his college years for a lot of that show, which is fantastic and underrated. And I love that show. But do I want to see Tom Holland in college as Spider-Man and see what he's been up to since the world forgot who Peter Parker is? I think there was a lot of interesting things you could do seeing the journey of him starting over. So now that we're actually skipping that part of his journey, which is like establishing who he is, who his new friends are, how he's going to get into college, what kind of Spider-Man he wants to be, all these kind of things you need to figure out now that you have no resources, you have no friends, you have no family. That's a very interesting way into this character. But we're skipping that, is what they're saying. We're going 4 years after that. So I'm wondering, is the 4 years after that more interesting than those 4 years themselves? And that is the question that this movie is now going to have to answer. Yeah. It makes sense because, it has been over 4 years since the actual movie came out, but it didn't mean that they had to do a 4-year jump in universe.
Right.
And so now they need to prove to the audience that that was the right move. And that is something that could either hurt or help the movie. And so that's really what I'm curious about. What do you think about seeing where Spider-Man is at after those 4 years. That are we gonna not see him in college at all? Not see the last year? That rumor that Mark Ruffalo's Hulk was gonna possibly be a professor of his in college, that might be out the window. Or do you think 4 years, that doesn't mean that he's not in his graduating year or at the end of it, right? So do you think they could still play with it, or you think they're done, they're going bye-bye?
Yeah, I don't think it totally means that they're not going to cover any of the college at all. I think that where Peter Parker was at the end of No Way Home doesn't really give me the sense that he jumped from that situation right into college. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that he needed to reset himself. He got to get his own apartment. He made his own new suit. He did a ton of stuff between the time where Doctor Strange erased everybody's mind and for the time that he actually got an apartment. Because you remember, Aunt May had passed away. He's got to deal with all that kind of stuff. So there's so much stuff that I'm not even sure if he really just jumped straight into college. He might still be in college. But also, I think that part of what could be taken away is meeting people like Kirk Connors, right? The Lizard, and seeing his relationship with him in college. And maybe Doc Ock, which is weird because he already met a Doc Ock. So that would be a whole interesting thing in and of itself. So I do think that there is some things that you might lose in that situation, but I'm also really curious to see. I'm a big fan of time jumps. I think time jumps are more necessary than that they're actually utilized if they're done well. But yeah, seeing him in his adult years also does this. It puts him at that. It puts him at that age where he can start mentoring Miles Morales.
You think they're going to do that this soon?
I think that I'm not sure how much longer Tom Holland's going to be doing this. I would assume that this might be leading into a new trilogy, maybe.
I thought that's what my assumption was, that this is the beginning of a more adult trilogy than the Homecoming or the Home trilogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I'm glad that they dropped that name convention too.
Yeah.
Just
it was
to
time.
Make it like a new, like it signifies that we're going in a different direction.
Brand new day, right?
Yeah, and it being directed by Dustin Daniel Cretton, like that gives me a lot of hope for like him maturing Spider-Man out of
100%
what Mark Webb was doing, which was good. I really enjoyed it, but also very like high school coming of age kind of thing. He's of age now, so now what are we going to do?
Right. And also with Mark Webb's, it was like Andrew Garfield is like 28 years old playing like just graduating high school, and I don't like that. I want my high school characters, the actors being close to that age. I want my 27-year-olds to be like starting to get married or have you know what I mean? Like I thought that was a missed opportunity with Andrews to like keep him that young. And that is probably where the time jump would have been best, is a time jump between Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Amazing Spider-Man 2. If there was a 4-year time jump there, I feel like that could have benefited the story more. So I feel like you're right in that sense, where a time jump can either hurt or help a storyline. More than not help a storyline.
Right. And the way that this also helps this particular storyline with Tom Holland Spider-Man is when he was in high school. Yes, Mr. Stark. Yes, Doctor Strange. Like now he's an adult with his own opinions and his own way of doing things. And he's been Spider-Man solo without no one knowing that he's Spider-Man for 4 years. So one would assume that he has matured. So when he meets somebody like Punisher, who is doing the murder, death, kill, like he's like, we're not doing that. Right. So he has a strong enough opinion and enough experience now to be able to stand up for himself, speak for himself, and say, look, we're not doing this. You can't do this in my city, so on and so forth. Right. So now we're dealing with adult to adult conversation instead of Punisher talking to some child. Right.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true. He is at that point where he's going to have more adult themes in his movies and more adult interactions, like with a Punisher or with a Professor Hulk or Bruce Banner or what have you. Let's break down this line. Things are going well for our anonymous hero until an unusual trail of crimes pull him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. Based on us kind of knowing, thanks, babe. That's my wife.
Thank you. Oh, that's what's up.
Based on, we know Tombstone is in it, right? We have this mystery of Sadie Sink being, Shathra or Jean Grey or whatever. Like we don't know.
Right.
There's a big mystery, and we have Scorpion, coming back. Someone from his past is what it alluded to as well. What do you think these web of or trail of crimes that pulls him into this web of mystery could entail?
So it all sounds like it kind of leads to, there's a stretch, but Kingpin,
X-Men. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Like, so when I think about Tombstone, I think about street level. Well, first of all, let me say this. I'm so happy he's doing a street level crime and not going somewhere international or
or multiverse. Yeah.
Right.
Finally.
Yeah, he's solving a crime. Awesome, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I don't think he's well. He did solve the crime with Vulture, but like other than that, I'm not sure if he's solved the crime since. He's just like, oh, like no, it's just here.
He's like, I'm just in space battling aliens, and then
yeah. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the street level ness of it. I'm a huge Tombstone fan. I think that character is awesome. I'm hoping that we also get some like Hammerhead going on and so on and so forth. But I think with the trailer mysteries or trailer crimes, I'm hoping that they are actually violent crimes, to be honest with you, so that he can deal with that and not just like, oh, they're just stealing the flux capacitor, right? I'm hoping that there's like
that would be wild.
Yeah, right. I was gang wars, mafia type stuff, the kind of thing that Spider-Man often dealt with. So
real
that's
Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
No, that's I think you're onto something. I think that is a great takeaway from the synopsis. This part of the synopsis is that it is a trail of crimes that pulls him into a web mystery larger than he's ever faced before. That doesn't mean that it's like a world-ending thing. That can mean that like the city that he knows and loves could be an underworld that is set to cause turmoil for the entire city of New York City. And that is a story that we need from a Spider-Man movie that we haven't really gotten because it's gotten so big. And it's really cool to see them try and take it back down and make it more personable and make it smaller. And that is where Destin Daniel Cretton comes into play, because his whole thing before he was into these big budgets was smaller personal stories. And so to use those skills to tell a Spider-Man story about crime and criminals and what the line is and what's going too far, and we saw a little bit of that when he was fighting Green Goblin in the last movie, and now we see the juxtaposition with the Punisher. These are serious adult themes, and that is the perfect place where we need Spider-Man right now, and that makes me very excited for Brand New Day.
Yeah, and
finally
Tombstone and the other villains like are the exact people who you would run into.
There's like Punisher Tarantula, Boomerang, the Hand is also rumored. So
I did not know that. Wow.
Oh man, you didn't watch me and Zach last week. So it seems like we're getting these, makeshift type characters. Before we move on, I do want to mention that, we are going to see Scorpion, right? And there are rumors that he's going to have, that suit, right? And it's a little bit more mechanical, a little bit more, give him some strength so he can fight Spider-Man. Do you think that's a slippery slope because it's getting Rhino vibes or a mech suit kind of vibes, where it's getting away from Criminal Underground and more back to the fantastical kind of villains that we've seen in the past?
No, I don't think it's going too far, and the reason why is because even in watching Spider-Man the animated series, you always saw him solving crimes, especially against people like Kingpin. But Kingpin was always mixed in with Hydro Man, Sandman, people like Scorpion. He often was the reason why these people got these suits and mechanics. So there's always been this mix of street level with just a little bit of elevated villainy. If you will. So Tombstone himself, I don't believe can feel pain, and I don't think Tombstone can feel at all. Actually,
no, he's dead. He's like dead inside, pretty much.
Yeah,
like dead inside and outside.
Right. So with that, I think that this is a natural part of the Spider-Man mythos. Like he also just can't be the only person who's superpowered, because there's no fight there. Right. there's nothing for him to resist, so nothing to resist against him. Even Hammerhead had a metal plate in his forehead. Right. So I often saw those elements mixed in with the street level elements too.
That's a good point. And I think what supports your point is, last year we had Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, a fantastic, underrated animated series.
Yeah.
And in that series, Mac Gargan, aka Scorpion, is a very prominent villain. And in that, he's able to get a piece of tech and have this Scorpion suit that allows him to pull off crimes that a normal dude wouldn't be able to pull off. More heightened crimes, if you will, garnering a lot of criminals to back him and make his gang bigger and make him have more power in the city. And so if you can use Scorpion in that way and use the suit and the tech in that way, keep it grounded, but keep him more formidable for a Spider-Man type hero, then that is really what I would like to see from a Scorpion in this movie. And not to mention, dude, the actor that plays Scorpion in this movie, sit. I'm talking to your dog. Sit. The actor who plays Scorpion in this series, Michael Mando, is a fantastic actor. He is really, really good in Better Call Saul. I just showed my wife Orphan Black. We watched the whole series. Fantastic sci-fi show. He's in that for a little bit. He's just a great actor. And so I really hope they give him the runway to do his thing in this movie, because I really think, and it hasn't happened yet, Scorpion can be established as a big, bad, good villain for Spider-Man and for on-screen presence that we haven't seen from that character. And I think Michael Mando is the person to do it. So that's really what I hope we get from the movie as well.
Yeah, and from the point that we were talking about before and leading into this point, we had Vulture. Vulture is classically ridiculous, right? I really don't know how he flies. It doesn't make any sense. But the way that they updated him for the movies, it made total sense. It didn't feel bigger than the plot or anything like that. He used it in a very street level way, even though he could fly, right?
And crimes, low level crimes, stealing tech, right?
Exactly. And if the writing has taught me anything, is that you can make anybody a big villain. The Spot in Across the Spider-Verse, the Spot is not a villain that anybody thinks of at all. He is a phenomenal villain in Across the Spider-Verse, right? And he was born out of a bagel being hit on his head, right? So it's like you can write anything and make and elevate any character, really.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I can't wait to see Spot in the third one. I mean,
Yeah.
they really hit the nail on the head with that and really made him go from a joke to a very, very serious villain
Yeah.
in a big bad way very quickly. And that's what you need to do when it comes to Scorpion. You need to
Right.
make him a very serious threat right away and someone that's a huge thorn in Peter's side. So I
Yeah.
hope we get that. But what do you guys think of the synopsis for Spider-Man Brand New Day? Do you like that, we're getting that 4-year jump, getting a clean start, going into where he's at in his current day? Maybe he's in college, maybe he's at the end of it, maybe he's past it. And how does, MJ, Ned, all that stuff factor in
Mm.
now that he's even further removed from the ending of No Way Home? So drop a comment below and let us know what you guys think.